You know, that's the thing. But then again, now we're on YouTube doing this live and presenting a fresh amount of bullshit every morning. Oh, but it's interesting to look through things, see what's going on. Of course, I'm having one of these moments. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. What the hell? Sorry, folks.
I got a binder from Mike Akuda and
Sorry
Drexler,
that
and
you were
Amazing.
getting to see
it was
this.
like, please put this here. Please put this here. We do not have a 36-degree offset bridge. Our bridge faces forward, which is which is what Ron Berry and Matt Jeffries always wanted.
Yeah.
If you were to talk to Bob Justman, he said the only reason why the turbolift was offset is because it made for a bad camera angle
In its original position.
in its original position. So
Okay, so there's so many moving parts to this, and I'm curious about the percentage of stuff you had reference for, like the studio saying, please put these things in. But that can't have accounted for more than half the detail I'm looking at here, right? You're making up a lot of this as you go.
there's a lot that had to be sussed out with some artistic license.
Right.
Um,
Stuff about where things were.
Right. So like the filming sets for the sick bay, for example, were part of the original filming set. So what I did is I had to make blueprints of the entire ship floor by floor in order to figure out how I'm going to cut this away first. So I have all vector blueprints for the ship.
Oh my gosh.
And I laid out the set on the blueprint so I knew exactly the size of the set on the actual ship.
Oh my gosh.
And then I also, figured out through the set blueprints how things could be put in the ship as well,
Gotcha.
which I didn't think was very well thought out with the Franz Joseph. I think he took a lot of artistic liberty too as well to figure that stuff out.
And you're taking similar liberties to readjust to make it more coherent.
Yeah,
Give or
yes,
take.
yes. But you know what? There's a lot of things in here that actually fall into place pretty well based on like.
I'm not knocking people for or going to stop watching them because of political views. And I really don't see as much from them as a lot of others who will go and get into something like this and still will find something to dig at somebody else. So I'll watch that later.
Oh, hey, Stuart. Kripke.
You know us?
Of course I know you. What do you want?
You share scenes with Melissa in episode 3. Bernadette, along with Howard, became such a lifeline for Stuart during the original run, giving him a place to call home.
I just have never been in this room while you're awake.
How strange was it not only hearing Melissa slip back into that voice,
Excuse the mess. I gave up giving a shit.
but watching her channel such a completely different version of Bernadette?
Yeah, it was amazing because she just walked right back into the role of Bernadette, but then transforms into a literal demon.
She's a demon.
Oh, she could be a little. I wouldn't call her demon.
You know, in a way, like it was so un-Bernadette-like.
You like magic?
Not really.
Okay.
She's wielding magic, but at the same time, when you think back to her character on the original show, it's like, oh yeah, actually there were trace amounts of angry.
Yeah, she had an edge.
Yeah.
The Big Bang Theory made no shortage of jokes about Bernadette's height.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive.
But, you know. Okay.
Finance chief on last week's earnings call, and it's kind of a big deal. You see, Aurora has put a second fleet on the road, running what it calls Aurora Driver 2. New software and second-generation sensors on international LT tractors. Nobody's in the cab, and this time no observer is in the passenger seat either. That's crazy. Gone. The technical claim underneath it is 34 seconds of reaction time at highway speed. That number's not about reflexes. A human reacts in about a second and a half, but you can only react to what you can see. The machine's advantage is range, spotting a stopped vehicle far enough ahead that braking is gentle instead of violent. Through the end of June, the system had run close to 440,000 driverless miles across 10 Sun Belt lanes. With no collisions, the company attributes to its own driver. So back to the 85 cents. Aurora runs 2 business models. Today it owns the truck, holds the operating authority, carries the insurance, and bills more than $2 a mile for the whole service. Starting in 2027, it wants to flip to something simpler. The carrier buys the truck, and Aurora sells them the driver as a subscription. 85 cents a mile. The same executives describe that as roughly 15 cents per mile cheaper than what a carrier typically pays a person. 15% less than what they pay a person. Aurora's CEO says fleets aren't buying this to cut headcount, they're buying capacity because a machine doesn't need 10 hours off. But for those usually driving a truck, we bought it so the truck never stops, and we bought it so we need fewer of you sounds about the same. Interestingly, Aurora booked $2 million in revenue last quarter against a $270 million loss. There are only about 30 trucks on those routes today, but the plan calls for 200 by December, which means most of this year's revenue lands in Q4. The uplifter building the trucks is supposed to reach 1,000 a year run rate in October. So the technology is further along than the business, and the business is further along than the company can currently afford. But the hardware kit is now designed for 1 million miles at about half the cost of the last generation. That's what makes them viable from a business perspective. Q4 will be the first quarter where the math stops being theoretical and things start accelerating towards profitability. Sources are down in the description. Would you mind sharing this video, please?
Share the video, my friends. Very, very well articulate, very well summed up. What a way to approach the trucking world. Truckers, how do you feel about this?
Well, considering the fact they're doing that straight up.
Ride flagged. The rider says rude driver. Rude. I mean, what determines rude? Because I'm not talking to you, because I'm talking too much? Has to be with the...
Oh, I know what usually it is, and it's why when I have a person in the vehicle that I went like this and said, no, you need the car seat. And they get it. I won't go and stick around for that. I'll cancel. And I also report it to Uber as stating, look, I come there ready, prepared to go and transport a person, and I show up with somebody who isn't ready to be transported. I'm not waiting around for them to find or get a car seat, especially when it looks like they had no plans of having a car seat in the first place. That's where you get a bad rating. Asking the person to put on their seatbelt. Of course, they don't like that. Asking them when they're on their phone, because they don't like the fact of being interrupted. You know, there's many reasons why. But the factor that they don't allow us to counter the argument, prove things were wrong, and take it off of our score, that's the thing.
Dialogue, right? Because rude is a reaction to whatever the person, the guy...
It's subjective. Honestly, rudeness is subjective. It's a subjective means of having people get a lower rating.
The girl, the driver, is saying. Then the companies think, okay, well, here's an opportunity to educate you. Listen, we're the drivers. We've done this thousands of times. And then you have some engineer in San Francisco trying to write some code and educate a driver or give suggestions on how to keep ratings high. We know what shoots ratings down. We know what lifts ratings up. We don't need any little engineer to come up with some fancy jargon. They spend so much money on this shit, right? They can't pay.
Well, you know, that's the thing. is that with a subjective rating that they can go control the situation. And then on top of it, you have somebody who isn't out there driving every day, who's a code monkey. You have people disconnected from reality. Well, let's just go and say this. I've gotten notifications as of late, as how to handle minors. And it's a fluff piece mainly to go further into their things. And they designed the statement that basically says under 18. But are we supposed to go on actually getting an ID? Because I've had times where I showed up and yes, I put it down, unaccompanied minor, with 3 girls that looked under 18 with somebody who possibly could have been also under 18. And I wasn't taking the chances with that.
The drivers, but they spend money on this shit paying the engineers to concoct crap like this. Start with a greeting. I think every single driver knows that. Hi, how's your day? If you get you could pick up the energy right away by that reply. I'm pretty sure that 95% or 99% of the drivers actually greet their rider passenger. Hi, how are you? Welcome. What?
Hi, insert name. How are you doing? 2 things at once. The person who was booking the ride, checking that, on top of the fact of doing a general greeting.
Whatever the greeting is. A friendly hello and confirming your passenger's name is a great way to start the ride. It sets a professional tone and helps prevent rude or driver conduct flags. Thank you, Mr. Engineer, but I don't think you even know.
It doesn't. Because they are people who are looking for any reason to do a bad report on anybody. There are people like that.
Know what you are talking about or what you're programming. Leave your comments below. By the way, if you have been deactivated, there's only one place to go, activationhero.com.
Apple's next Mac Mini is packing insane power, but there's a massive catch you need to hear before buying your next desktop. According to verified roadmap leaks from Bloomberg and McRumors, Apple is actively developing the new Mac Mini with the absolute beast of an M5 Pro chip, and even testing the unreleased M6. It is definitely keeping that ultra-compact 5x5-inch redesign we saw last generation. But getting this new silicon into the desktop is hitting a huge roadblock. Severe global memory chip shortages are causing massive supply chain chaos. This RAM crisis means the exact launch timeline is completely up in the air right now, potentially pushed into late 2026 or even early 2027. And here is the worst part for your wallet. With the old $599 model already dead, sources point to the new base price jumping to at least $699. Are you waiting for the M5 or buying now? Let me know below. Apple's next...
Okay, so here I've got 7 eggs. I'm going to be adding them to some very hot oil.
I got 2 eggs here and a face shield. We'll be pouring into a 350-degree oil.
A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper to give it some flavor.
A little bit of salt to give it flavor.
Very careful to turn this over using 2 spoons, just like this.
Not so carefully turn it over with 1 spoon, just like that.
And we're gonna add this to a bowl, just like this.
Adding it to a bowl, just like this.
A cup of breadcrumbs.
A cup of breadcrumbs.
Half of an onion that's been chopped.
Half an chopped onion.
Some melted butter.
More oil, okay.
Scallions here. You can add herbs.
Some herbs, you can add scallion.
I'm just gonna kind of like chop up our egg that we cooked earlier.
You know, I almost forgot these are eggs. It looks like a freaky fish with thick skin.
To get it nice and beautiful for our presentation, and our recipe is ready.
Nice and beautiful being the operative word here, but let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. It tastes like meat, like tender on the inside and crispy on the outside, like a fried chicken. I didn't know eggs have the potential to be like chicken, so 8 out of 10, but I wouldn't try that.
Turn on waterfall. You got a waterfall in your house? Where is that? Oh wow, it's coming from the roof. Kind of underwhelming, but this is nice. I know it could be peaceful enough. When everything is turned off, you just got that waterfall going.
Why is it so hard to find a carpenter who can do this? Most carpenters would tell you this kind of finished door can't be shortened without ruining its original design. Instead of ordering a custom door to fit the opening, this carpenter decided to reuse a spare door the homeowner already had. But because it was far too tall, he had to completely rework its proportions without making the finished door look modified. Using the prepared section as a template, he marked the exact area that needed to be removed from the main door. He then cut out the marked section, creating a precisely sized opening for the shortened piece to fit back into. Now came the most important part, making 2 separate sections look like one original door again. He cut matching biscuit slots into both sides to keep the joint aligned and add strength. After sanding the exposed surfaces, he applied wood glue, spread it evenly, and fitted the sections back together. A rubber mallet helped close the joint, while long clamps held everything firmly in place as the adhesive cured. Finally, he filled the remaining gap, sanded the repair smooth, and refinished the surface. Once installed, the resized door looked completely original, as if it had been made to fit the smaller opening from the start. Why is it so hard?
She saved 2,500 children from the Warsaw Ghetto. She hid them in toolboxes, in ambulances, in burlap sacks. She wrote their real names on tiny slips of paper and buried them in glass jars under an apple tree so they could find their families after the war. The Gestapo caught her. They broke her feet, her legs. They sentenced her to death. She survived. And then the world simply forgot about her. For 50 years, Irina Sendler lived quietly in a Warsaw apartment. No awards, no headlines, no one asking what she had done. Then in 1999, 4 high school students in Kansas found her name buried in an old file. They tracked her down. She was 89 years old. They told her story to the world and nominated her for the Nobel.
Excuse me, I found him in the park.
Truman! I'm gonna...
Mommy!
Thank you. I saw him wandering, and I thought, well, everybody's coming here. So she's all right then, that lady?
Oh, yeah, she's fine, thanks to you. She was scared out of her mind.
No, I mean from the park. I saw her pass out on the bench out there with the rest of them junkies.
Yeah, let us get you some food and some shoes, maybe.
No.
No, please, we gotta take a look at those feet. Kadri, could you help this gentleman?
Yeah. Okay, Ralph, I've paged a plastic surgeon to come take a look at these skin lesions.
What for?
We just need to run a tox screen.
Well, that's unnecessary. I don't do drugs or drink alcohol. I just make my home in the park. I'm not like them. They're bringing down the neighborhood, you ask me.
Do you have anywhere else that you could stay? A temporary shelter?
No, they got more people than they got beds. They set a limit on how many nights you can stay. I maxed out months ago. I never thought I'd be calling the park bench my home. But rent control went out and I went out with it.
How long can this tiny power bank run the Mac Mini M4? The Mac Mini is so power efficient. It idles at just 1.5 watts. It only uses 3 to 5 watts while browsing the web or doing light work. I'm using my iPad as a wireless display for the Mac Mini, which now can be used as a touch screen for the Mac OS, or you can use Apple Pencil. Then I switched to Apple Vision Pro for an even bigger screen. The tiny power bank kept it running for 3 hours and 40 minutes. Please like and follow for more. How long can this tiny power bank...
My father never spent money on himself, so to get the things he liked, he used trading stamps, like a bumper pool table. Oh, yes! Electro energy balls. My father wished he could use trading stamps to pay for everything.
He needs a new heart.
Is it in the catalog?
85,000 stamps. Get that boy into surgery.
Do they still have that golden boomerang?
We ain't getting no golden boomerang. We getting a new refrigerator.
What's wrong with the refrigerator?
The thermostat is broken. The freezer's too cold, the refrigerator's too hot, it melted the ice cream and froze the cheese.
I thought we were gonna get something fun.
Eating ain't fun? Try not eating.
Whatever we get,
A new refrigerator.
we'll have to do it soon.
Can we use the sponge instead?
You know how much a sponge costs?
Less than a new tongue.
Oh, that's 1 cent worth of stamp. Chris, give me the tape.
What my father didn't realize was that I had to use 2 cents worth of tape to repair 1 cent worth of stamp.
Morning, mijo. How you doing, mijo?
Too much leftover milk? Deep fry your milk.
Too much leftover milk? Maybe my dad's back.
Sugar
30 grams of sugar
and cornstarch.
and cornstarch.
Keep
A few members of the team that worked on the SpaceX Starship reached out to me to see if they could get a few custom watches made to remember the project. Now, they had 3 interesting requests that they wanted. Firstly, they wanted an external
Oh, it's the morning.
For years, a married couple of attorneys treated their neighborhood like a private courtroom.
1 second, folks.
They threatened retirees with lawsuits, frightened widows with warnings
The
about
bathroom
insurance,
calls.
and used law firm letterhead to make every personal demand look official. Nobody challenged them because they knew exactly how expensive a single word from a lawyer could become. Then they tried the same thing on a man who understood two things better than they did: where his property ended and who owned every pipe beneath it. They locked him out, claimed authority they never had, and confidently put it all in writing. That was where their trouble began. My lawyer neighbors locked me out of my own well. Then the fire marshals saw their pool. Then the same two lawyers put a padlock on a pump house they did not own and demanded, in writing, that I recognize their authority over the fire water tank. By the time the fire marshal read that letter, neither of them could take it back. My grandfather ran cattle on about 400 acres in the dry hills of Northern California, far enough outside town that we had no municipal water system and no fire hydrants. When he got old and the cattle stopped making sense, he sold off parcels along the ridge. 8 lots, 8 expensive houses, all with views that make people from the city write checks without reading much. But he was careful about one thing: he kept the water. The main well sits in a hollow below the ridge, inside a concrete block pump house with a steel door. My family owns that building, the ground under it, the gravel service road going up to it, the controls, the pressure tank, and the monitoring panel. Every deed on that ridge grants the homeowner the documented right to receive domestic water and the obligation to pay a share of legitimate operating costs: power, maintenance, testing, repairs. That's it. They buy water. They don't own the plumbing. Sitting on the bench above the pump house is a green steel tank holding about 25,000 gallons. That's the dedicated fire reserve. It exists because if a wildfire comes up that canyon or a house catches, the engines have nowhere else to go. There's a standpipe connection at the bottom of the tank, size for fire apparatus, and a float sensor wired to the panel that's supposed to text me if the level drops below a set point. That water's not for lawns, it's not for pools, fountains, or washing trucks. It's not in the domestic budget, it's not metered to anyone's house, and every deed on the ridge says so in plain language, because my grandfather's attorney in 1994 apparently anticipated people like the Rasmussens. I'm not a lawyer. I install and service commercial HVAC, and I inherited the water system the way people inherit a boat, with a lot of unsolicited responsibility. I've been reading that control panel since I was 14. I know what normal looks like. Rasmussen's bought the biggest house on the ridge, the one at the top with a 6-car garage in the spring. Dean and Camille, both attorneys. Dean did construction defect litigation and had a voice like a man who never lost an argument in his own kitchen. Camille was quieter, better dressed, and wrote letters so smooth you didn't notice the knife until you were bleeding. They brought a housewarming bottle of wine to my place and asked, very pleasantly, who administered the community. Nobody, I said. There's no HOA, just the water agreement. Camille smiled at that like I'd told her the vault was unlocked. The first one they went after was Walt Prokish. Walt's 79, retired from the phone company, and heats with a wood stove because he likes it. He keeps his firewood stacked on the north side of his house, neat rows, covered, off the ground, tighter than most contractors could manage. In July, Walt came down my driveway holding a 2-page letter with the Rasmussen firm's letterhead across the top. They're going to sue me, he said. The letter was a masterpiece. It described his firewood as an accumulation of combustible fuel in immediate proximity to a habitable structure, said it created unacceptable wildfire exposure for adjacent properties, and stated that if he did not remove it, the writer would notify all affected insurance carriers of the condition, seek injunctive relief, and hold you personally liable for all attorney's fees incurred. It was signed by Camille. Now, there's a real defensible space standard out here. Firewood within 30 feet of a house is supposed to be handled a certain way, and Walt's stacks were arguably a foot or two closer to the wall than ideal. A fire inspector would have told him to slide them out to the fence line and clear the weeds underneath. 20 minutes of work. Instead, Walt got a letter written to make a 79-year-old man imagine losing his homeowner's policy. Walt, this is a suggestion dressed up in a suit, I told him. Move the stacks out by the fence and you're fine. She said notify all affected insurance carriers. His hands were shaking a little around the pages. Frank, if they drop me, nobody's writing a new policy up here. Nobody. I'd be sitting on an uninsured house at my age. I said I'd talk to them. I did. Dean answered the door with a beer and told me, pleasantly enough, that he appreciated my concern, but that fire liability up here is joint and several, and I'm not letting one guy's woodpile put my house in a claim. Walt paid 2 men from town $600 to haul away every stick of it, all of it. 3 cords he'd cut and split himself over 2 seasons, gone in an afternoon. Then he bought a propane heater. $600. Not because a fire inspector required it, because 2 attorneys had discovered that fear of an insurance company works faster than a lawsuit and cost them nothing to send.
Ah, yes, the clickbait continues.
What if your next iPhone could unfold into an iPad? Sounds
Notice that they say, what if?
unbelievable, right? But Apple might finally be ready to make
it
happen. The rumored iPhone Ultra could be Apple's first foldable and its most premium iPhone ever. Imagine a stunning book-style design, a huge tablet-like display, an almost invisible crease, and a sleek titanium body that feels straight out of the future. The leaks also hint at powerful 48-megapixel cameras, dual selfie cameras, and exclusive iOS 27 features with true multitasking.
Folks, regardlessly, the foldable phone is going to be one of the worst still tech gadgets out there. No matter how many times, look, it folds, it got a crease, it's fold. I'd rather just have my bar phone. I don't care. These things, just like the curve phone. Remember that one that disappeared?
Picture using 2 apps at once, gaming on a massive screen, and enjoying an iPad-like experience from your pocket. But here's the real question: could this finally be the foldable that changes smartphones forever, or will it end up being Apple's biggest gamble yet? Watch till the end and decide for yourself.
And
what if your next
I will
iPhone...
tell you, most odds, it won't exist. And believe it or not, a lot of corporations use their own encryption than using BitLocker. Yeah, John blew out his ACL. And it's his kick foot. So he ain't playing drums for a bit. That's making me wonder now. The nose, the face. Oh. Let's see. I want to figure this out. I'm looking at John Wick clip and a clip for Doctor Who with Vincent van Gogh. Visit to the gallery, and I'm wondering about the actor, because they look very similar to each other. It's one of those moments, just going, just going, yeah, it could be a little bit old. Yeah, even AI is going, yeah, I can see why you could go and say that. Okay, let's see.
Okay, everyone, I'm back behind the drum kit. I always love doing these drum videos every once in a while. Here to defend one of my favorite drummers again. You know, I did that with the Ringo Starr and the Lars Ulrich videos, and it's kind of funny because these guys really don't need defending. But when you play drums for so long and you hear a lot of opinions, you realize that a lot of people give these guys a hard time. Usually with Peter Criss, they think he's, just a basic drummer and there's nothing really special about him. And whenever somebody says that, I always urge them to try one of his most famous beats and see how they feel about him afterwards. And that's the beat that's in Detroit Rock City. But the first time I heard this groove, it was actually on Kiss Alive 1, which my cousin brought over when I was like 8 years old. And it's during 100,000 Years, which is a song where all of a sudden Peter Criss kicks into this awesome drum solo. To start the solo off, though, he does this groove, and it has this crazy sound to it. Back in the day, I didn't know what it was because I didn't know much about effects or drumming or anything like that. I just loved how it sounded. So when I got a little bit older and I started learning about drumming and effects and all that kind of stuff, I thought I had it figured out. I thought Peter Criss was playing a more simple shuffle beat and adding effects to it in order to spice it up. So here's the beat I thought he was actually playing. Then I knew for sure that they were adding a flange effect to it, just to give it that swirling kind of sweeping sound. So here's what that sounds like. But then I thought, to be tricky, you know, they did a lot of studio editing and stuff after the fact, after this concert. I thought they added a slap delay to the snare drum to give it an extra hit, which makes it sound a lot more complicated. So here's what I thought they did. I'm just going to add a little bit of a slapback delay to the snare. So that sounds pretty close, doesn't it? Now, here's the crazy part. When I finally started taking drum lessons and learning about shuffle grooves and ghost notes, I discovered that Peter Criss actually plays all of those notes. So it made me really respect that groove a lot more and really respect Peter Criss a lot more. So I'm going to explain this through really quick. So the simple beat I did earlier went like this. I'll go really slow. So you see how there's basically two hits on the drums, one hard hit and one that's a little bit softer. I hit the microphone. But because I thought they were adding that extra delay in there, I heard this little ghost note that was sneaking its way inside there. So I actually heard this. Now I'm hitting it so light and it's kind of buried in there that it might be hard to really detect it. So I'm going to play it really slow and really hard so it's really obvious. So let's do this now. Let's go ahead and play the groove, and we're going to bring the ghost notes way down in dynamics and still get that one hard hit in there. So it's going to feel a little bit more like the real thing. Here we go. Now what I'm going to do, since we now know that there's no delay in there, there's no cheating, I'm going to add back the flanger effect so it sounds a lot more like what he does live. And let's put that all together. So that's the tempo at 100,000 years. But if you ever want to challenge somebody, like if someone's ripping on Peter Criss, you're like, okay, why don't you try that groove, but do it at the speed that Detroit Rock City is at, you know, the beats per minute. It's a lot harder because it's a lot faster. So it's really more at this speed. But here's the catch. You have to do that groove for about 5 minutes because that's really how long he plays it in the song if you subtract that super long, crazy intro. So I'm going to dub that groove the Peter Criss Shuffle, even though a lot of people are probably going to get enraged by that. Whenever you put a name on something, a lot of people will be like, yeah, but this guy did it first. This person did it way before then. But because
Animal, how are you? You like my band?
Yeah, I like band, especially Victoria.
Okay, everyone in the office has been talking about this all day. They kind of argue about who the best all-around drummer is, Robin or Animal.
Animal.
So let's find out. It's time for Top Drum, Animal versus Robin. Now, there's more to being a badass drummer than just drumming. You gotta really know your music. So let's test it now. Finish this title of the hit song by the Go-Go's. We've got the blank, Animal.
Beat!
That's right. That's correct. You are correct.
What animal win? What animal win?
Well, we got a little more to go. Just hold on. Hold your horses. Robin?
Yes.
It's your turn. This is an easy one. What is the Norwegian translation of We've Got the Beat?
No clue.
Okay, the answer is Vi Fekreitman. And everybody should know.
Right man.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody knows.
All right.
Okay, your turn, Animal.
Yeah.
What are Dr. Dre's headphones called?
Since the passing of rock legend Ace Frehley, tributes from other guitar greats have continued to pour in. Here's Slash talking about Ace's playing style.
I mean, he was just a through and through rock and roll guitar player. He just personified that. I can't really put what that means in words as far as like why that is. It's just the way that he played was just very rock and roll. It was very driven and very. His licks were. When I think of rock and roll guitar, he's one of the guys that comes up, and he had his own way of playing. And I jammed with him enough times, and it's just a very sort of fluid, in the moment kind of rock and roll approach. I don't know how else to describe it. Just something that's easy to recognize when you hear it. Very much off the cuff, and just go for what you know in the moment, which is really spontaneous. And that.
Hey.
Big mistake.
Fire!
Run! Venom! Run! Go! Release the symbiotes! Let's go.
Take it down!
Hey!
Mo, hurry, I've only got 5 minutes till the music store closes.
Well, why don't you go there first?
Hey, do I tell you how to do your job?
Sorry, Homer.
You know, if you tip the glass, there won't be so much foam on top.
Sorry, Homer.
Finished with 15 seconds to spare. No, no, boom, boom.
What's the matter, Betty?
The moron next door closed early.
I happen to be that moron.
Oh, me and my trenchant mouth. Please, you gotta open that store.
Let me think about it. No.
Okay. But I want you to see a picture of the little girl you're disappointing. Well, I don't have one.
Come on, Jer, open up. Be a pal. Remember when I pulled you and your wife out of that burning car?
Okay. So what does your daughter need?
I'll have you know, I wrote it down. Number 4.5. Stupid gum. Number 4.5. Read. Woohoo!
And what instrument does she play?
I don't know. Mo, hurry, I've only got...
She never gonna be the same after that.
Let's play this icebreaker game. Let's both of us think of a place we've never...
So, how do you create a...
Oh, God.
How about a little Slayer for you? Anybody? Oh, come on. I think that's criminally insane, yeah? Yeah? Okay. All right, well, let's see what we can do here. Rain and Blood.
But, folks, I'm going to have to cut it for the day and get on my way. So I hope you all had fun with this. I should be getting a little bit more wake and a little bit more script at doing this. But as I can go and say, pay attention to what these gig apps are doing. They love to send a lot of notifications that are just bullshit. You know, and it's a lot of fluff that's directing to this, that, and the other. It shouldn't be that way. But hey, you have yourself a good one, and make sure that you have a fun, safe, and profitable day, because if it ain't fun, it ain't safe, it ain't going to be profitable.